Alexander Isak, the Swede, has released an explosive statement last night. In the statement, he's saying that his relationship with Newcastle cannot continue and that change is the best interest for everyone involved. Just hours after that, Newcastle also replied with a statement of their own. We'll get into that story right here on Sports 101. So yes, Isak's statement has caused a lot of stir in the football circles. And what did the statement primarily say? So he says that the reality is that promises were made and the club has known my position for a long time. To now act as if these issues are only emerging is misleading. When promises are broken and trust is lost, the relationship can't continue. That's where things are for me right now, and why change is in the best of interest for everyone involved, not just myself. So clearly what Isak is saying, that listen, where the relationship between himself and Newcastle has gotten to, change is the best option, and obviously the relationship cannot continue. We'll get to the statement that Newcastle also released as a reply to what Alexander Isak has put out, but let's try and get into the cracks of the matter. So earlier on in this, when the season ended, you saw in the transfer market, Newcastle were trying to get a striker. They tried with Delap, it didn't work. He moved to Chelsea. They tried with João Pedro, it didn't work. He moved to Chelsea as well. They tried with Ekitike, it didn't work. He moved to Liverpool. They tried finally with Benjamin Sesko, it didn't work. He moved to Manchester United. So clearly, Newcastle have not said they do not want to sell Alexander Isak based on their actions in the transfer market. But why is Isak, peeved? Why is Isak upset? Reports indicate that their former, owner or co-owner, Amanda Stavely, agreed personal terms with Alexander Isak that there's going to be some form of contract renewal with a huge salary and other conditions before she left the club. Now, currently, the new owners do not have any kind of agreement with Alexander Isak, albeit the agreement that they already have with him, which he's left with 3 years on his contract. So it's more about a player feeling that something has been said to him and that has not been agreed upon, whilst Newcastle is primarily saying that, listen, there is no such agreement between the two of us. We do not have any kind of agreement. And if you actually go into the cracks of the matter, the agreement was with Amanda Stavely, not with the current administrators of Newcastle. So I think that genuinely, if Isak wanted to sit down with the current administrator, you could have easily gone to them. Listen, before Amanda left, I had an agreement with her. Let's sit down and talk this over. And I'm very certain that they would have come to a compromise, or they would have come to a gentleman's agreement. But obviously, I personally have my own stance in this issue. I think that Alexander Isak is being very, very unprofessional. I think that Alexander Isak has disrespected Newcastle. He should disrespected his fellow players or his colleagues. He's disrespected the manager in Eddie Howe, because for all intent and purposes, you do have a running contract with Newcastle. Maybe they may not have honored whatever agreement they have with you verbally, but there's a running contract that you are obliged to honor. As we speak, Isak has 3 years remaining on his contract. So per the law, per the contract, he has every right to train and play for the club because there is a running contract. But for you to decide that, one, you're not going to train with the club, you're not going to play for the club again, for me, is very, very unprofessional of Alexander Isak. And this is not the first time we've seen players, have some form of disagreement with their clubs in they wanting to move. It's happened on countless times. It's happened with the Don Hutchison, deal when he wanted to move to Sunderland. Stan Collymore himself when he wanted to move. Even Victor Gyökeres, we saw that kind of wrangling going on excuse me, with Sporting when he wanted to move to Arsenal. So clearly, this is not the first time. But you don't freeze yourself out of the club that you're not going to train with the club. What he's refusing to understand, or what he's refusing to grasp, is that he has a 3-year running contract remaining on his current contract, and as such he's obliged to play for the club. Newcastle can take him on, they could take him on, they could take him to court and all of that. They could even, worst case scenario, they could even decide to bench him. You still pay your weekly salaries, you still pay your salaries, but you are not going to play for the club again, because like I said, you've disrespected the club, you've disrespected the manager, you've disrespected the fans who have shown you lots of love. You can, push for a move, but do it the right way. The mere fact that you are not training with the club, you don't want to play with the club, all because you feel that some promises were made, and as such, those promises have been broken, and so you are not going to play for the club again. For me, that's very, very unprofessional. And if he's done it to Newcastle, he might do it to Liverpool when Real Madrid come calling. He might do it to Liverpool when Barcelona come calling. And so, for a player who has exhibited such attitude, I think that he's a player personally I will not want to have, in my team, because it's so unprofessional of him. I do not know who his advisors are. Whoever his advisors are, and if I were the people around Isak, I'll probably tell him to fire his manager, because the first thing if the manager should do is to probably pull Isak. Hey, come on, still train with the club, push for a move, but play for the club. There's a running contract. Be professional. Go through your duties in the right way. That's the best thing. But for the manager to, in a way, the manager has not come out to say anything, but clearly, for him to speak at this time, he's clearly seen that about 2 weeks to the close of the transfer window. I'm very certain that the manager or his management team probably put together this statement for Alexander Isak to put out there, because they are very much aware of whatever is going on. So in my honest opinion, I think that Isak is going about this whole thing the wrong way, and just as Newcastle have said, and you see, Newcastle have been very matured in their statement. They said that, listen, they are very ready to welcome him back to the club. The fans, the supporters, the players, the managers, everybody is very ready to welcome him back to the club, and they are ready to support him and help him play for the club. That's a very matured club in my honest opinion. They've not putting out, any statement that speaks of spite or anger. They're saying that no matter what has happened, you have a running contract with us, and we will welcome you with open arms any day, anytime. But the player on the other hand is saying that I don't want to play for you. Looking at the circumstance at hand, I won't play for you. The best option is you go your way, I go my way. He's forgetting that Newcastle have all the cards. As we speak, they have the best of hand at the moment, because you do not have a release clause. You do not have a buyout clause. You have 3 years remaining on your contract. They will set a price tag on you. Pay up or you leave. Earlier on in the season, let's not forget, Liverpool already approached Newcastle with £110 million. They turned them down. The reports I'm hearing is that they value him around £150 million. Worst case scenario, they might take 140. If Liverpool, any club that wants you, can't pay up, they will definitely let you go. So in my honest opinion, I think that Isak is going about this the wrong way, and eventually he'll be the one to suffer at the end. This is Sports 101. Let us know what you think of this, uproar between Alexander Isak and Newcastle. Do you think that the player will eventually leave Newcastle? And you think that the manner with which he's going about this whole thing, do you think that is right or is wrong? I really want to know or hear from you in the comment section. Follow Sports 101 on Facebook, follow Sports 101 on TikTok, and make sure you subscribe to Sports 101 on YouTube. So in some transfer news, Crystal Palace's marksman Eberechi Eze is nearing a move to Tottenham Hotspur in a fee in the region of £50 million. Yes, it looks like Spurs might just get the attacker, and if he does come to Tottenham Hotspur, they would have a very exciting young team. Let's not forget, they've brought in Mohamed Salah. We saw him in his first game, against Burnley. Brilliant display from the Ghanaian midfielder there. They will be adding an incredible player who has been so key to everything success for Crystal Palace last season. He'll be coming to, Tottenham Hotspurs under a new manager, Thomas Frank, who has shown that he is able to work with brilliant talent. Will this move fall through, or this move will eventually happen? I don't know what you make of it. But Eberechi Eze to Tottenham, reports indicate that in the next couple of days that deal might just be concluded, and he will become a Tottenham Hotspurs player. The deal is reported to be in the region of £50 million. That's a lot of money. In the space of 2 seasons, they've sold Mikel Olise and they're letting go of Eberechi Eze. Does that clearly tell you that Crystal Palace might not be as competitive as they've been last season? Let's not forget, they've already won the Community Shield. They did win the FA Cup, beating Manchester City. Because of their legal issues, they'll be playing in the Conference League instead of the Europa League. But hey, that's Crystal Palace for you. They're likely to sell their best talents to other clubs, and it looks like they are losing Eberechi Eze to Tottenham Hotspurs for €50 million. This is Sports 101. So in some transfer news, big one coming through. Newcastle United could try to sign Aston Villa striker Ole Watkins if Villa are able to land Nicholas Jackson from Chelsea. Let's not forget, Nicholas Jackson, since João Pedro moved to Chelsea, has, in a way been frozen out of the Chelsea club. He's not getting much play time. Could Aston Villa move in for the Chelsea attacker whilst Newcastle try to land Ole Watkins from Aston Villa? Will this move materialize? I don't know about you, but if you look at the musical chairs in the transfer market, there are not so many quality strikers out there. If Newcastle are able to land Ole Watkins, that will be a good signing. Let's not forget, they've already let go of Callum Wilson there, so they need a replacement, as well as the potential sale of Alexander Isak. So hey, Newcastle are already in the market for a striker, and they are flirting with Ole Watkins if only Aston Villa land Nicholas Jackson. I want to know your thoughts on these transfers right here on Sport 101. Keep them coming in the comment section. Like, share our videos. This is Sport 101. So according to The Athletic, Christopher Nkunku, who earlier on in this week was flirting with Bayern Munich, The Athletic is reporting that Nkunku to Leipzig is happening. This is a player that left RB Leipzig a couple of seasons ago to Chelsea. We're hoping that this transfer would be a hit, but honestly speaking, it's been a bomb, or it's been a sham of a transfer for me. He's a player that has been, plagued with, injuries and all of that. That transfer has been very uninspiring at Chelsea. Could his return to RB Leipzig spark a renaissance or a resurrection of his career? But Christopher Nkunku to RB Leipzig, it's happening, and that's according to The Athletic. This is Sport 101.